When I was searching for an editor for Salvage the Bones, I decided to sign with Kathy after our first meeting. In that meeting, Kathy told me much in words and much without, and this is what I understood. I understood that she saw promise and beauty in my work, that she was confident in the value of the world and the characters I wrote about, and most of all, that she was kind. By that point, after multiple workshops and fellowships, I discovered that I worked best with kind people. In those spaces, many writers and instructors did not see much merit in my work, and they funneled me towards silence. I withered in those environments, shrank so small I became convinced that I had nothing to contribute to anyone. In each of those moments, I gravitated toward the quietly encouraging few. I found one or two in every room, and I endeared myself to them, looked to them for direction, for inspiration, for judgment. I trusted them. When I signed with Kathryn Belden, I knew tough love had never gotten the best out of me. If anything, it made me try to disappear. Kathy was far-seeing and gentle, thank goodness, and she would not allow me to disappear. With Salvage the Bones, with my memoir, with my later novels, I discovered that Kathy is the exact perfect editor for my work because she looks at my stories, she lets them resonate with her, and then she parses them with expansive insight in order to detail their triumphs, their shortcomings, their desires, and their aims. When she returns them to me, she asks question after question to help each work become its best, all with great patience and clarity. Often, her feedback enables me to understand each novel or memoir or short piece in ways that I have not before. Kathy expands my comprehension and enlarges my capacity to be even more distinct, more unique, more myself on the page. I have grown as a writer in every book that I've worked on with Kathy, as she has challenged me to do what I love and to do it well, to write the lyrical, heartbreaking line, to render my characters' worlds vividly, to remember that those same characters can weather any storm as long as there's some love, some connection that moves and nurtures them. The same patient understanding and kindness that Kathy has shown my characters, she has shown me and the people I love. She has welcomed all my children into her home. She has strapped all three of them to her chest and walked the streets of New York City. She has fed them food with her fingers, bit by bit, and she has cradled their heads when they cried, rubbing their little backs to soothe them. I imagine she whispers to my children as she navigates through the audience while I'm on stage, fueled by coffee and anxiety, doing my best to champion books in the world. I imagine that she tells my children silly stories, that she narrates the world to them, and that sometimes she tells my children what she sees in me, all those qualities I have trouble seeing in myself, marked by Mississippi and America as I am. I imagine Kathy might narrate me to my children, might say, "Listen to your sweet mama. Do you hear her voice? She's telling a good story again." Often, this endeavor to write feels like my stories are burning up and out of my throat in desperation, and I am barely managing to articulate them as they come forth. Sometimes, my life feels that way too, like a bad, rough draft, out of control, careening, desperate, beset by loss. But Kathy, great editor and dearest friend she is, sees beyond all that. She wades through the raw muck, and she envisions, and she redefines. She narrates me to me, enabling me to see myself anew. "You are doing important work," she says. "You are giving us all gifts," she says. "You are dear to me," she says. I hope I am not overstepping when I say this for myself and my fellow writers. You are a blessing, Kathy. Thank you for your witness. Thank you for your kinship. Thank you for your guidance. Thank you for your keen mind. Thank you for your hands, your heart, your vision. Thank you for letting me work and walk this life with you. You are doing important work. You are giving us all gifts. You are dear to me. I love you. Thank you.
Well, thank you, Jesmyn, for the introduction, and thank you to the Center for Fiction, the board, the center's incredible staff for all the great work you do. And I see my people right there. I stumbled into book publishing, not because I was a great reader as a child. I didn't read. Nor was I an English major. I landed my first job in publishing, at least in part, because I could type. I went to an employment agency. It served the less glamorous realms of publishing for the decidedly unconnected among us. And after acing the typing test on the classic IBM Selectric, I was taken to a man's office, asked to spin around, because I didn't own a suit and he was to approve my outfit. Those were different times with their own minor humiliations. That skirt and jacket, these nimble fingers, landed me a job. I assisted an editor whose specialty was cookbooks and how-to books. I learned the process on books that didn't really interest me, and after 5 years, I left the industry. It took 2 years for me to come running back. So from a distinct lack of vision, I found my way to an astonishing job that has given me so much. As an editor, I have been able to pursue my interests across fiction, nonfiction, and poetry. I have been welcomed into other people's stories, and when I'm really lucky, I've been welcomed into the writers' lives. I only hope I have given back a fraction of what I have received from the tremendous storytellers it's been my privilege to serve. Most editors are empaths. We are interlopers in someone else's intellectual and creative expression. In order to understand how we can serve the writers, we have to get as close as possible to their minds through the editorial process. Walking around in someone else's brain is delicate business. It requires great tenderness and respect. It requires humility. Each book asks something different from its editor, not one like another, yielding knowledge, yes, but also a gift of feeling and a deeper kind of understanding. There's an expansion of self sewn into this work, an expansion of love. Being an editor can be a path to becoming a better human being. This holds true for all of us who work with books, for the people who design and make the physical objects, the marketers and publicists, the agent collaborators, the salespeople and booksellers, the teachers and librarians. We are all expanded by stories and our desire to share them. Writing may be a solo sport, the editorial process an intimate affair for two, but the publishing is a team effort. I don't publish, we do. So, yes, this is a fine way to spend a life, and I'm happy to have walked into that employment agency and found my way here. When I took that first job, I entered a room that anticipated, even expected my presence. The we of publishing looked a lot like me. I didn't understand it at the time, but there was ease in that for me. Now, as we lurch toward a more inclusive industry, a lot of imprints and departments are hiring people who constitute firsts, shocking as that is in the 2020s. I don't believe it's always easy to be one of those firsts. Almost a decade ago, my husband, daughter, and I took a memorable family road trip from Memphis to New Orleans. The inspiration for the trip was my desire to drive the route through Mississippi described in Jesmyn's Sing Unburied Sing, and to visit two of the nation's greats, Jesmyn and Kiese Laymon. Kiese was in the midst of the Grisham Fellowship and was staying at a beautiful house outside of Oxford. We followed the directions, turned into a long driveway, and when the house came into view, I noticed a car parked in front with a bumper sticker that said, "Love works." Knowing something of Kiese, that bumper sticker made clear that we had arrived. If our industry is also on a journey, we, alas, have yet to reach our destination. Change doesn't always look like business as usual, but the need for change, for the benefit of the industry, the writers, the readers, is impossible to ignore. I can say this, I'm excited to be here in our industry now to witness this change, to partake in it, committing to my own awkward efforts to move the conversation forward, including this one. If you are one of those firsts, I hope you'll stick with it. If you are part of the majority group, as I am, maybe the simple statement I saw printed on a bumper sticker in Mississippi can help. In affirming other perspectives, sharing power rather than asserting it, listening and learning, mentoring and teaching, setting people up to succeed, and welcoming, really welcoming the people and the change that is long overdue. To Scribner and Simon & Schuster, to the Bloomsbury crew, to my supportive bosses, my inspiring younger colleagues, my work wives, all of them, thank you. To the Kelly, McBride, and Belden families who are here, showing up like we do. To the steadfast old friends, Claude, Bill, Joellen, Martin. To Will and Anna, the two kind, creative souls with whom I share my life, thank you. To the writers, always the writers, to all of you, I see you, and I thank you for being here and for this honor.